The Tusculum Pioneers, over the Christmas holiday break, since the last we have spoke with you, have gone 3-0. How did they do it? We'll find out. We're joined by Pioneer coach J.T. Burton. I'm Brian State, and Happy New Year to everyone out there. It's a Pioneer basketball team riding a big high, and I've said this a lot, and in your first year, and I know you're probably tired of me even saying it, but I think there's a lot of similarity to what we did at the end of the first part of the season a year ago when we went on the road to Burton. And it just seemed like guys, you trusted them more. They seemed to trust you a whole lot more. We switched some things up. We did a lot of different things, especially in our defensive side of things. And it seemed to be the one thing that Don needed to get going offensively. And it seems like this year we've known Tariq Jenkins can be a scorer, but he's, kind of taken the mantle, I think, a little bit more to be that guy late. And we are on it right now of playing very well. Is this team, I don't want to say it, but I am, are we almost peaking right now for this team? And are you happy with where we are?
I'm happy with where we are. I mean, I was just sitting there thinking, boy, it feels good in being 5-1 instead of 4-2. You know. But as you said, Tariq Jenkins, I just looked at his stats. He's shooting 35% from the three-point line, and I've said that all along. If he could consistently shoot 35 to 40% from the three-point line, then we become a different type team. And he's taken on that role. And even if you go back to Saturday's evening's game against Anderson, late in the game when he wasn't scoring as much as he normally does or making the shots he normally does, he was on the defensive end. And that's been a big difference.
I think the last three opponents show us the depth and the strength of the South Atlantic Conference. Newcomer and UVA Wise, always a tough Queens contest, and then Anderson's going to play very tough. It hasn't been easy, and the last three have not been easy. You've had to win in three different ways in the last three games.
Yes, we have. I mean, we had to come back in all of them. We've had to get crucial stops in all of them. We've had to come up with half-court possessions, scoring in tight games. So we've been faced with all different types of situations to win games, and we're fortunate enough to come out with the win.
Well, let's go back. We'll go back just before Christmas. It was UVA Wise. We came into that contest, and I think we were still kind of shaking our head. We were, struggling just a little bit with just trying to find an identity offensively. We were doing enough. I go back to the Young Harris game and think, we seem to be on a high, and then all of a sudden we lost that, but got it back, found a different way to win in that one. Then we take on a newcomer in UVA Wise, and for the Pioneers, rallying from a 10-point deficit late in that contest, I think shows a lot for this team as the Pioneers got their 8th win of the year. Let's take a look at the highlights. Tusculum and UVA Wise, and very early in the contest, there was a kid, that we knew, Briggs Paris, that was going to be very big, and they started hitting some outside shots, but then against our zone, teams are going to hit some outside shots.
But yeah, that's something that I've always said. We gotta live with some of the shots that they make, as long as we can make them take tough twos and tough threes.
They did hit the big shots early. Briggs Paris has talked about, he was a kid that came last year, was an all-Mountain East Conference for the UVA Wise, and they're opening for their conference, now opening up in South Atlantic Conference play. He's still a focal point for their team, and he's a vocal point for our team. Brandon Mitchell's been playing lights out.
Yeah, as you see, he got the rebound and the putback, and that's what he's been really good at as far as our team, and that's what we need him to do. And the big thing is he's making that jump shot now.
Cameron King in the contest, I think, was a catalyst for us. There's Tariq Jenkins doing what he has been doing, but I'm going to focus on Cam King because over that stretch there in December, he was huge. Career night with 13 points off the bench coming in. Really seemed to spark the offense.
Yes, the biggest thing is Cam King. I mean, he went shooting from 21% from the free throw line. Now he's shooting 76% from the free throw line.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it's a lot of confidence building for him, and he's been able to get the ball in the right position to score, and the guards have done a really good job of helping him out.
Tariq Jenkins, again, hitting from outside. We'll talk about that in the Queens contest, and then he gets the ball in transition and feeds it. And I think Josh Scott, there's a young freshman that gives us a lot of energy.
Yes, I mean, you see Tariq feeding him, Josh getting the dunk, and Tariq coming down in transition, hitting the three. And as I said before, when he's making those shots, we become a different team. Justin
Mitchell, another one of those young freshmen. Again, these guys are high flyers. They play above the rim, but they're so active defensively, which means I think that those young kids are starting to get what we're doing in the concept defensively.
Yes, I mean, they understand now that you got to bring it not only in the games, but every practice, every possession. And I think it's been a real good key, a big key for them as far as learning what to do in these games.
All right, still in the first half here, as we've talked about, we're going to transition also to Queens here coming up in just a few moments. Trenton Gibson just kind of doing what he does. But I'm going to go to the second half a little bit, and you'll see the highlight where I think probably one of the biggest shots was from Dylan Smith. But it was following the Cavs' largest lead. They had a 10-point lead in the second half. Things weren't going our way. We weren't knocking down shots, weren't scoring in the half-court offense. Dillon comes in. He's been struggling from outside and hits a big three, and that really, I think there was a collective sigh as soon as he made the shot.
Yeah, because everybody knows how hard he works, and it was good to see Dillon come in and make that shot, because it's just a confidence builder I think for everybody, because Dillon is huge. He's a senior for our team. He played for me a year at Montlow State in junior college, and coming here and carrying it over. Dillon is the type kid that works hard in practice and in the game.
You see the shot that actually gave them the 10-point lead. Trenton Gibson's going to hit a three. I think Dylan Smith taking his game inside also helped very much. Trenton Gibson hits a three, cuts the deficit down to 6, and Cam King was really kind of the catalyst for that, sparking a defensive run. And then he gets to the line and starts making free throws. And after that, the Pioneers go on an 11-0 run with Cam King knocking down free throws. And then defensively, you just kind of held him there at the end.
Yeah, we did a really good job. I mean, coming down the stretch, you see Caleb hitting the three here in the corner. We did a really good job of making shots. I mean, we got to make open shots. You got to make standstill threes. And the biggest thing, defensively, we did a really good job. Mitchell
hits free throws at the end. The Pioneers get a 2-point victory against UVA-Wise, shooting 43% from the field. Wise, which shot lights out, 60-some%, I think, in the first half, finished the game shooting 53% for the contest, but the Pioneers were too much in the fourth quarter. Pioneers get that victory, continue this winning streak, and then you go down to Queens. And, I'm a media guy, so I'm sitting there thinking, we're going to Queens, we're going to a place we have never won. And I just want us to come and play well. And then early I'm thinking, let's just not get blown out. I don't know if it wasn't us or if it was what they were doing, whatever it may be. They were very good at the very beginning, and then we just kind of seemed to stay in there. Nothing got out of hand. Nothing seemed to get out of hand. But the first half was very difficult, but I think that was the key in winning the basketball game.
Yeah, it was. It was huge. Going to Queens, I think, one of the biggest things I was worried about, I think we was all worried about as a staff, is everybody already checked out for Crystal Spring. Right. And I think we checked out that first half. But playing there, I think playing there earlier, how just seeing a team play, we sit down and watch them play when we played in that tournament, I think it kind of helped. And coming out after the second half, guys got settled in and was able to get some key stops and make some key baskets.
It was a 12-point deficit early in the contest. They were playing without Daniel Carr. And he's an All-American. That made a lot of difference. But there were some kids on that team that had been scoring and making a lot of impact plays for that team that were not able to do that. And I think they were getting frustrated because our kids seemed to turn it around right after the end of the first quarter. I think it was Zach Holt, your assistant coach. I think I heard him say, we got him exactly where we want him, guys. And I don't know whether or not he believed that, but I think that the team believed exactly what he was saying.
Yeah, it was because halftime, he was his scout, and he did a really good job of getting guys in position. We made a couple adjustments to our zone, and I think we tied it up. We cut it down to 2, mm-hmm. And I think that's what he meant, because our guys started to believe then. And that's all you have to do is just get a little hope, and that's what we've done, especially on the road.
Yeah, Queens had defeated Tusculum average of somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 to 20 points per contest is kind of what the average loss was to Queens. They may not be necessarily the same, but however, this is still a 20th ranked team in the country. They're still playing very well. They're taking some losses to some of the best teams in the league, and obviously they've already played LMU as well. In the second half, it was Tariq Jenkins, 15 points of his game-high 20 points scored in the contest, and he also did it sparking us from outside.
Yes, I mean, Tariq was real huge in that game, especially making his outside shots. And the biggest things with him is getting downhill, getting to the basket and finishing, because he's one of the best finishers in our conference. And that was huge. I mean, once we started, like we said, settling in, and you see a few go in, and we got a little confidence, and we got a couple stops, I thought we was okay.
It seems like there's some point in the game, one of these young freshmen kind of come through with a big shot. Josh Scott has been doing that a lot. Justin Mitchell and Keyston Brown in the game against Queens knocked down huge shots that really sparked the offense late, because Brandon Mitchell was a shot blocker. He's a rim protector, especially in the second half. He had 5 blocks in the contest. Queens, their shot wasn't going down, so they were trying to go inside. Brandon seems to have that knack of timing it out just right, and especially in one series, I think he gets the block, and it leads to a transition, and Keaston knocks down a three, and it really seemed to get us going.
Keaston's really, that three right there, I think, gave him a lot of confidence, because it was a deep three as well, and he took it without hesitation. But that's what we expect of him. I mean, that's the Keaston that we all grown to know and grown to love when we was recruiting him, because the kid you see him play, he was fiery, kind of reminded me of myself, but he could shoot the ball a lot better than I did. and the kid came in the game and he made the big shot, and then you talk about Joshua Scott hitting big threes, and then Justin Mitchell. So I think it becomes a trickle-down effect once they see one of them go in, and everybody gets to get together, and we make no shots, so it's huge.
All right, I've talked about those three freshmen, but there was also the two seniors, and Caleb Hodnett and Dylan Smith, that had to be impactful in the contest. And Caleb makes some big threes in the contest. He hits that corner three, gets his game going, especially gets him going somewhat defensively. And I don't say it a whole lot, but I think when Caleb hits a three, his whole game gets a lot better.
Yes, I mean, you've seen it again and again since I've been coaching the kid, because it's all it takes to see one. I mean, it's anybody. I mean, it's any kid that's playing, but especially with him, he sees a shot goes in, then it changes the whole dynamic of his game. He starts to rebound, he starts to defend, he does all the little things, and Caleb's been really, really good with us, for us, especially on the road.
Name of the game is obviously make shots. In the contest against Queens, Tusculum hits 48% of their shots, went 24 of 50. Queens hit just 36%, really struggled against that zone. Another thing, Tusculum out-rebounds Queens 44-24. I don't think I've seen numbers like that a long time against Queens.
No, I mean, we make a conscious effort of our post guys, everybody crashing the boards. I mean, hard. You try to get extra possessions, because up until late, the last 4 or 5 games, we hadn't shot the ball well.
Right.
So, as I told the guys, I mean, it looks good and it sounds good to be #1 in offensive rebound in the country, but that means you're missing a lot of shots. So I'd much rather be the other way around, where we're last, because then it means you're making a lot of shots, so to speak. So we've done a really good job, especially coming into conference, of taking and making really good open shots.
So the Pioneers get that victory, historic. They had never won there at Queens in the times that they had played. It's only the second win ever all time against a Queens team, and for the Pioneers, their last 2 wins against nationally ranked opponents have come against the Queens Royals. So ending a bit of a streak there, but now you want to continue a streak. You don't want to be happy with that. You want to continue the streak. So we'll see, obviously, the future, what it holds. But it's the 3rd straight win. The Pioneers rally from 12 points down, get the 6-point win, 67-61 in Charlotte just before Christmas. Then you have this long layoff. You've won 3 straight games. But I think you were happy with the break. I think you felt like the guys needed the break. You needed to be away from the guys. You needed to recharge. Been practicing. We've been doing a lot of basketball for a lot of time. Did the break happen at the right time?
Oh, perfect timing, because as I said before, it's good that we played away from home, in my opinion, because we get to get away, no students here, and we get to go on the road, less distractions, and then you get that break. Guys have been here since in June for summer school. So with that, me saying that, it was huge. I think everybody needs to get their batteries recharged, and going away from home for those 10, 11 days was huge for us.
So the Pioneers finish up the first part of the schedule before Christmas, and then we come back for the second half. But still in the first half of conference play, and you've got an Anderson showdown on Saturday. It's always a tough team, because I think for Coach Brookhammer, he just basically keeps them all in check. You've always got a dynamic guard. You've always got somebody inside that can score the basketball as well. And then you add Quinn Nottingham, and now he's the leading scorer in the conference, one of the top scorers in the country. And he comes in and is a total different game. But you've got some time to prepare for him. Do you feel as if the days extra that you had to prepare aided you in that game this past Saturday?
Yes, it did. I mean, because it gave us a chance. It gives us a chance to take our time and really dive into what they do, because they're going to try to, dissect our zone. They pass the ball well. As you said, they got the leading scorer in the conference. So we got to do a really, really good job of knowing where he is and where he's at on the court.
Brandon Mitchell was big. Let's take a look at the highlights. Tusculum versus Anderson. Tariq Jenkins, a little bit of a struggle. You're going to see an early shot for him, but then he kind of struggled the rest of the way through at least that first half of play. But here's a guy who did not, and that's Brandon Mitchell. And you said he kind of went away from us for a little bit. You needed him back on that offense. And when he got going, it seemed like everybody else got going.
Yes, I mean, we told him and Cam at the beginning of the game, and I've stressed it a lot, that we're going to go into him often and early. And he did a really good job of responding on the defensive end and the offensive end.
For the game, Brandon goes with 18 points as the Pioneers actually lead wire to wire, and it does halt Anderson's 3-game winning streak. And in this contest, Anderson shows they had a little different. I guess the first half was really different because you come out, they're preparing for something, and you throw a kitchen sink at them in a way, and you come with the press and you go man to man. Seemed to really disrupt what they wanted to do.
Yeah, I kind of figured. I mean, they hadn't had a game since December the 16th, I think. So they had a long time to prepare for the zone. So one of the things I wanted to do is just come out, kind of throw them off balance, and I thought the press would do that, and it did. It showed, especially early in the game.
Jordan Jeffries hits the only three-pointer in the first half for Anderson. It's a good shooting basketball team, but we're unable to really get a lot of stuff going, especially in that first half from around the perimeter or even from outside. You see Dylan Smith hit a three. We see Josh Scott hit some threes. We see some different guys knocking down some shots, which is totally different from what we have not been. We have not been a good shooting team, and in the first half we were outstanding.
No, I mean, we haven't, and I thought the bit defensively is what makes our team go. And as you see Brandon Mitchell getting a block and going in transition, that's huge because we start on the defensive end. That's what I try to preach every day, because these guys can score the ball, but if we can defend at a high level, our offense will come.
Pioneers had an 18-point lead at one point, 38-20 in the contest. And then Anderson, as you probably knew, made adjustments, but they started knocking down their shot. Sean Bernard showing why he's so electric. Quinn Nottingham, even though you hold him 10 points under his average, he started taking his game elsewhere. Instead of just being a spot-up shooter, he started doing some other things.
He did. He started driving the ball and dishing and kicking out and getting to wide-open shooters. And they started making those tough twos that they didn't make in the first half. But we did a really good job of taking our time, being patient, and the biggest thing, again, it was on the defensive end. As you see Brandon Mitchell getting the offensive rebound, that's what helps us win these type of games.
So Anderson has cut this game down to 4 points late in the contest. I think that was one of the biggest shots of the game for Brandon Mitchell. I think that was when the game was at 6. I believe that's the shot that made it a 4-point contest. And then you get another big shot from another youngster, and Josh Scott seems to do this at one point in the game.
Yes, I mean, the biggest thing is that I see is, yes, Josh made that Scott, but Trent Gibson makes an unbelievable pass, skip pass way right in the pocket. Then he gets a steal for a layup to Tariq, and then that's when we went on a run.
The run, it was weird because last year, Anderson, you had the lead. You had the 8-point lead. They go on the 10-0 run in the final minute. They win the game. They shock us. The game is at 4 points. You see Trenton Gibson making a couple of great plays. Tariq Jenkins scoring 4 as the Pioneers. This seemed to be the icing on the cake for Dylan. A 14-2 run to end the contest. Really good to see the team finish.
Oh, yeah, because I remind Tariq Jenkins and Dylan Smith and Trent Gibson all the time, all the guys that returned from last year, that we was up with 1 minute and 2 seconds left to go in the game at the free throw line, up by 8, and get beat by 2. So I reminded them every single day, and those guys, I think they took it to the heart.
They did take it to heart for sure. Pioneers got off to a great start shooting. They finished the game 43% shooting. Anderson was miserable at one point, but then really got hot later in that second half as the Anderson Trojans hit 35% for the game. Once again, the Pioneers were dominant on the glass, 44-32 in the contest. And Brandon Mitchell, here's a guy that you need to have production, and he does. 18 points, near triple-double like numbers, and rebounds and block shots and the things that he does to disrupt an offense, getting a hand in the passing lane, deflecting a ball, or doing whatever. So you're riding a 4-game winning streak right now. You're starting to shoot the basketball, and you're doing some things, but how gratifying is that victory against Anderson, especially after the long layoff?
I mean, it's unbelievable, because I looked at the history, because I'm learning just like the rest of the guys, and we've only beat them, 4 or 5 times, and they've beaten us the last 4 times in a row. No, last year they beat us twice, so it was huge because I was kind of nervous, coming back off of Christmas break, how these guys would respond, and I thought they did a really good job.
Did respond to get the victory. It's the 4th straight, ending a 4-game losing streak to the Anderson Trojans as well. Of course, the rematch later, day after Valentine's Day, I believe February 15th, on the road in the Electric City. So the Pioneers setting up really nice now with 10 victories on the season. We'll talk about how they can get to 13, but it's a tough road swing. We'll talk about that at Mars Hill, also to Coker, ending the 3-game road swing down the road in Jefferson City against Carson Newman. That's when Pioneer basketball with Coach J.T. Burton continues after this.
Family.
Food's here!
What's it mean to you?
We got lunch.
To us, it means the people you care about, look out for, and yeah, love. Even if you'd never let them hear you say it.
Hey, you're eating hummus?
What's wrong with hummus?
Here at Ingalls, we have everything you need to gather around the table and give each other a hard time. Because that's what families do. Ingalls. All the ingredients for family.
So we welcome you back into Pioneer Basketball with Pioneer coach JT Burton. The Pioneer basketball team 10-4 on the year. They're 5-1 in league play, one back of league front runner Lincoln Memorial, ranked 4th in the country, so a very solid team there. And now 3 solid teams as the Pioneers embark on 3 road games. Let's start with Mars Hill. They were dangerous last year with Brooks, and they're even more dangerous this year as he seems to be staying in there, playing with a lot of confidence right now. Some Mars Hill team that's been in the upper echelon in the South Atlantic Conference here at the early start of the year. Usually if they get out of it, it's like, well, we don't have a lot to play for. This team has meaning. They have a lot to play for, and they will bring it this coming Wednesday.
They are going to bring it. I mean, it's a hard place to play. I mean, it's a great home court advantage. We have to go in and be ready to go. We got to have a different kind of focus. I mean, like we've always had, but, this right here is different now. I mean, I know we show on the numbers that we have a good road record, but when you get to conference, it's no bad teams. Everybody's competitive, and we have to be ready to go.
I know you're not really worried about that after that game, but Saturday it's a long road trip, and your first experience last year traveling down to Coker, and the team responded. I think I was a little uncertain as to how we would respond because we haven't always played well at Coker. You're going to need that same type of effort.
Oh yeah, last year remember we got started off. Got off to a great start, but then they made their run, but we withstood it, and we just got to do the same thing. I mean, nothing changes. I mean, it's always you got to defend, you got to rebound, and you got to make open shots. If we can do that, we always have to give ourselves a chance to win.
And we'll talk a little bit more about Carson Newman next week, but here's a team that's kind of changed things up, and boy, they've been playing well here of late.
Yes, I mean Carson Newman is going to be really good. I mean, when you play in a rival game with the history that we have against Carson Newman. It doesn't matter the record, doesn't matter who's playing well, who's playing bad. It's going to be a great game, and it's just something that we just got to be ready for.
Pioneers off to a good start, 10 wins through the first 14. They are 5-1 now in league play. Join us this coming week at Mars Hill and at Coker. The Pioneer Sports Radio Network will be there as well, and you can always listen in or you can tune in and watch it through the Pioneer website as well. Just go to the men's basketball schedule and click Watch Now, listen live, whatever it may be how you want to stay in tune with Pioneer basketball. At the end of the week, Coach JT Burton and I will come back and we'll wrap up the week next week with our Pioneer basketball feature. For everyone behind the scenes here at the Pioneer Sports Network, he's JT Burton. I'm Brian Staten. Until next week, go Pioneers.